Blessings. Namaste to all light warriors or workers and everything in between. It is I, Sophie, today, and I'm coming to you with a gentle transmission to teach you a little bit about the serpent race, the serpentine race, the dragon race, things that may have gotten misconstrued. And I'm only bringing this information forward because this is the age of the great revealing, right? This is the great age of understanding. This is the age where everybody gets to see what's really going on. And so much propaganda out there, right? Things that was turned upside down, right side up, twisted and perverted. And I told you that during this season, a lot of the ancients were going to start coming through. A lot of the sages, the gurus, the Zadakim was going to make their way on the earth to teach a lot of ancient knowledge, okay, to remind you of the essence of things, to remind you of who you are, and to also bring forth the spirit of truth. And this is mainly for humanity, because unfortunately, humanity has gotten caught in crossfires, in wars that they had no business fighting, between powers that was existing on this earth. And I'm here to help make the crooked way straight by giving you the information straight, no chaser. And the only reason why I'm doing this is for those of us who have incarnated here to really teach and usher in this new age. We're doing so in the spirit of peace. But there's propaganda going around that is pushing the spirit of war. Okay? And what is not being taught about this is every time this type of thing happens, humanity is the one that suffers. So we're not here to lose millions of lives fighting a war. No, we are here to bridge the levels of understanding so that you can make a righteous decision to continue to evolve and grow humanity, okay, without being caught in crossfires based off of information that may or may not be as accurate as you think it is. So let's just get it started. I want you, after you're done with this video, to Google Ubaid, U-B-A-I-D. Look at the area in the Middle East, because what I'm getting ready to say to you might shock a lot of you. You have read in your Bibles that the serpent race gave the woman the knowledge. She passed it on to her husband, got caught by God, both of them. And then the serpent race was cursed to eat of the dust of the earth for the rest of their lives. And many people did not really understand what that meant. And I'm here to explain it to you. It's going to be interpreted, or it could be interpreted in two ways. Pick your poison. It doesn't matter. They're all one and the same. Being cursed. In the beginning, you must understand that it was the serpent race that inhabited the earth first. They were here before humanity arrived, okay? And the first levels of humans were able to live peaceably among the serpent race. And the serpent race, or the fiery serpents, or the seraphim, taught humanity a lot of knowledge and wisdom. Okay? And you'll see this knowledge and wisdom over in the Eastern cultures. Then a group of Elohim, who the serpent race refers to as Elohim, came and decided to develop man in their own image and in their own likeness, and kind of advanced humanity ahead of the serpent race. Okay? And not only did they advance humanity, but they also cursed the race to serve or to be subservient to humans. Well, that didn't sit too well with them. Now, did it? I don't know. Would it sit well with you? When they were cursed to eat of the dust of the earth, what that meant was many of them were bound to the earth realm, okay, number one. And number two, some of them were forced underground to live. They could not be out in the open anymore. They could not be amongst humanity anymore. And humanity, the earth was given to them to govern. Even though the serpent race and the ancient humans lived peaceably side by side. All right? But when the Elohim came and advanced humanity after their image and their likeness, they advanced a species that was not spiritually, mentally mature enough to handle a lot of the information that they got. And so a lot of perversion came after that. Okay? Now, from the serpent seed's perspective, humanity started becoming destructive and ruining the earth. See, what you don't understand is this is their earth too. All right? And they were here first. So a lot of the battles of the earth took place over whose possession it really was. Did it belong to the race that was already here, working alongside of humanity? Or did it now belong to the Elohim and the humans that they genetically modified, enhanced, and taught to govern it? Okay? Something that you don't know. But throughout scriptures, when I tell you that truth is always subjective, and that it is so important not to sit around and take sides based off of very limited information or information that you don't know, it's because those of us who incarnated here are here for a very specific reason. These are the elect. We're not here to push a war agenda because we understand that this has happened in the past over and over again, and humanity is the one who suffers. Okay? And we're binding each other and casting each other here and that. Humanity is forced to make decisions based off of very limited information. And then they side with one side or the other. But what if I were to tell you that both sides were right and simultaneously both sides were wrong? And this is why we cut through the tape of duality and take the third higher path of understanding. I'm here to teach you both sides of the perspectives, okay? So you can get out of this anger. To the serpent race, their home was taken, okay? They were cursed to live underground, and they were forced to serve humanity. But this was their home. And they watched as unevolved humans started systematically destroying the planet. And some of them became very disagreeable to humans because of this. After all, this is their home too. All right? So even in that serpent dragon race, you had those that were still trying to bring peace and harmony with the Elohim, peace and harmony to humanity by simply teaching them over and over and over again, i.e. the Eastern civilizations. And then you also had those that had enough of humanity and the Elohim, cursing them, okay, destroying their planet or terraforming it to what they will feel. All right? That's one perspective. Follow me. Remember, it's subjective, right? And we don't all know all of the story. Only things that was left behind and things that are being ignited in our DNA, if you have the ability to go back in time and see some of these things. Now, from the Elohim's perspective, they wanted the earth to be for the humans, okay? And they modified the humans and advanced them to a certain level. But they were not ready to give humanity a lot of the high knowledge because they considered them a baby species. And even with the Elohim, there were agreeable and disagreeable with them as well. Because some of the Elohim didn't want humanity to have the knowledge because they didn't want them to be as wise or as smart as them. While others thought that it was okay for humanity to have the knowledge, okay? So within these two factions, there are also split factions, those who are agreeable from both sides and those who were disagreeable from both sides. The reason why I'm bringing this up to you is because we're entering our golden age of peace, right? However, we can't enter in quite the golden age of peace when we still have those that are pushing divisive agendas, all right? It is very important for you to know, for those who are pushing war agendas, threatening destruction of this planet and threatening humanity. Unawares, they're doing it out of ignorance, okay? And that's why the sages are here. That's why the ascended masters are here. We don't fault them, but we are pushing you to have the ability to submit to a higher truth when it is presented to you. The truth of the matter is, if we were really about saving humanity, the last thing that we would do would be pushing for galactic wars. Because you know humanity will get involved based off of their own level of understanding, and millions can lose their lives. What we would be doing instead, and what many of us who are here incarnated, that is considered chosen ones or elect, is bringing about the principles of understanding to bridge the gaps between the two divisive factions, so that we can live in peace and harmony and do what is right and do what is fair and do what is balanced. Only ones that want to go to war are ones who are not able to come to compromises or understandings, which is very much necessary during this time. What is fair, right? Was it fair to the reptilians to be cursed in their own home and driven underground? All right. Meanwhile, while their sacred knowledge was being used and taught. Oh, you didn't know that some of the information that you're teaching is coming from the same races that you're demonizing? What do you think the serpentine fire is? What do you think kundalini is? Where do you think chakra knowledge comes from? Okay? The serpentine fire is the kundalini energy. And that was taught to you by the ancient dragons and reptilians. So I find it amusing, very amusing, when we use their concepts for evolution and growth, and at the same time, calling them demons. Again, find the hypocrisy in that. Okay? On the other hand, the Elohim, who advanced humanity and wanted this species to govern the earth, were they supposed to know information ahead of mental and spiritual maturity? They didn't think so. Because what came out of all of this was a lot of damage to the earth. Okay? Pollution. Mother Gaia wailing, crying, as humanity builds and destroys and destroys and destroys. The reptilians was watching this too. Do they have a right to want to defend their own planet too? Yeah. But it's the way that they went about it. Not all of them. The disagreeable ones. And even in the faction of the disagreeable ones, you still have the light. Or, I'm not going to even say light and darkness anymore. We've kind of gravitated past that. We're going to say what is agreeable to humanity and earth and what is disagreeable to humanity and earth. All right? Propagandas. From the reptilian perspective, if it is the humans and the corrupt Elohim that is destroying the planet, then of course they're going to want to get rid of both of these factions so that they can thrive. All right? Does that make that right? Possibly not. There are always diplomatic solutions, and this is why we have galactic diplomats that sit on high councils to discuss these things. The fact of the matter is, humanity should not be involved in this at all, because your understanding is very limited to what it is that you are reading, what it is that you are writing, and to be honest, not all are willing to do the necessary work to really go into that history. Again, Ubaid, U-B-A-I-D. Do an image search. Look at it. We can't no longer afford misinformation and warlike mentalities. Not in this new earth, okay? What we are pushing is the principles of understanding. This has happened before. Remember, all paradoxes are supposed to be reconciled. And we are reconciling them during this time based off of what is fair, what is balanced, and what is ethical. Can we live peaceably amongst each other once again? Or are we here to divide, conquer, and point fingers? The choice is yours. But understand that so is the outcome of those choices. We who are here to teach these concepts is to make humanity and other sentient beings aware that the battle was never yours. Okay? It had everything to do with what was right, ethical, and righteous during this time. We want you to do more research before jumping on bandwagons, before joining organizations, before teaching outdated beliefs. Many of these gaps have already been bridged. The councils are already diversified. We are already here trying to balance out the equation. So who is going backwards and teaching backwards concepts? Not in this age. That would be a grave, grave mistake. If we love humanity with unconditional love, we don't preach war. Okay? Instead, what we're doing is putting out the information for the principles of understanding. Humanity does indeed have a right to their own free will. And there is a way that they can achieve it without being pushed to war and get their sovereign divinity. I taught you before, the only way to beat out a law is with a higher law. This is where your intellect must kick in. This is where your wisdom must kick in. This is where you must spiritually awaken to self and the universal oneness. Simultaneously, how do we preach universal oneness and war? When you really start to see through the lines of hypocrisy, it becomes blatantly apparent that we have a lot of healing to do and a lot more studying to do. Don't worry, beautiful ones. You will awaken when it's time, and you're going to continue on your evolutionary journey. But for some of you, you are called to a higher level of understanding now. There's a responsibility behind every concept that you teach, and a responsibility behind every soul that is led astray. I hope you are taking your mission seriously as I am. Very seriously. Okay? Who was right? Who was wrong? Maybe they both were, in their own way. Truth, all truths are but half-truths. And all truths are subjective. This day and age, you need to reconcile the paradoxes and get out of the same loops that was going on over and over and over and over again. That's the only way that you're going to free your soul. You got to do the work. There is no easy button. And rallying people behind you, demonizing a class or a race of enlightened beings, simultaneously while using their knowledge to advance yourself, Do I need to say anything else? Ubaid. U-B-A-I-D. Look it up. Observe. Gain clarity. Gain understanding. And for each and every one of you, get out of the organizations. Get out of the cults. Get out of all of the propaganda of this versus that. Connect with spirit. Connect with source. And you will gain the clarity that you need to get and obtain and keep your sovereign divinity by not participating in any of this mess and working on your own evolutionary journey while teaching humanity the same thing in love, not hate. Either we are one or we aren't. Make the decision and stick with it. But as I said before, understand the consequences that comes behind your actions. We will go forth in a peaceable existence. And those who have a warlike mentality will go forth in their existence. Do you understand? We are called to knowledge and understanding during this time. If you don't like the serpent race, if you don't like the dragon race, then why would you curse yourself by inviting their energy into you? Yes. Only thing one must have to do, or one should do, is simply observe as things start to unfold. And then you'll really see who's who, what is what. Don't judge it. Leave that for the councils. Leave that to the elect. And let us find the peaceable ways to balance out this equation on this earth that is fair and righteous to all involved without having to fight. And if we do have to fight, humanity, you are to remain neutral. You don't understand. Okay? Work on self, loving your neighbor, golden rule. Okay? That's all you have to do. Connect with the earth, connect with the source, connect with your ancestors, and evolve. And leave all of the madness alone. That's all I have to say to you today. Who was right? Who was wrong? I am Sophie. I love you all. Bye.